If you want to move your business forward, you've got to set goals, but setting goals alone isn't enough. You actually have to do the things you say you're going to do. And today on Free Mama TV, I'll show you how I do that in my own business, step by step. Plus, I've got a super cool free resource for you at the end, so make sure you stick around for that. Hey there, I'm Lauren Golden here with a new episode of Free Mama TV, showing moms like you how to start and run a successful freelancing business from home. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new episode of Free Mama TV right here each and every Tuesday. You know you need to set goals, and we've talked before about setting smart goals. And if you're the kind of person who learns best by watching a real life example, you're gonna love what you'll see today. Today, I'm going to show you how I took everything I know about setting goals and reaching them and applied all of that to launching my podcast, Free Mama Radio. You'll see exactly how this project went from an idea in my brain to a big goal, to a series of smaller steps to be completed, to to-dos on my list. So get ready to dive in. But first, I've got a question for you. What's the biggest goal you've ever set for yourself? How'd you do? Let me know in the comments. When I started planning out my 2020 goals, I knew I wanted to launch a podcast. So that went on a list with all of my other 2020 goals. One of the first things you'll realize when you're setting goals is that you can't accomplish everything all at once. Sure, it would be awesome, but it's also a great recipe for overwhelm. And all that happens then is that you're paralyzed with fear and indecision, and you don't take action on anything. So once I had a list of all my 2020 goals, I had to carefully review that list to see which goals were worth pursuing for my business. I thought about which things would provide me with the best ROI. That's return on investment. Now, it's important to note that ROI isn't just about how much money something will earn in the short term. It's also about how a specific goal fits into the long-term vision I have for my business and how it aligns with my values. Launching a podcast is about one of my core values, providing my community, moms like you, with a way to earn money from home so that you never have to choose between family and finances. A podcast doesn't generate revenue on its own, and certainly not right away. But over the long term, it generates a lot of value for my community, so it stayed on the list of 2020 goals. Next, I had to figure out timing because, again, you can't do everything at once. I figured that it made the most sense to launch my podcast in the spring of 2020, the second quarter of the year. We decided on May because I was supposed to be doing a lot of travel in March and April. That travel didn't quite happen in the end, but that was the plan. Anyway, launching in May meant that I'd need to have systems in place starting all the way back in February. And this is really the key right here. I knew that in order to get some systems in place in February, I'd need to do a little research and planning before that. So in January, I started blocking off time on my calendar to figure out what I needed for February. At first, I'd block off an hour or so every other week for research. I've never started a podcast before, so I didn't know what exactly that would look like. Fortunately, a lot of other people have started podcasts before, so it was pretty easy to find resources that showed me all of the step-by-step work that would go into getting started. And by the end of February, I had clarified my vision for the podcast and had a pretty clear idea of what would need to be done in order to hit my launch date. Once I had more of a roadmap created, I could also figure out what parts I had to do and what parts I could outsource to my team members or other freelancers. Now, you might not yet be in a position to outsource parts of your tasks, and that's totally fine. Most likely, that just means you'll need to allow yourself more time to get everything done. There are a lot of things that go into meeting any big goal. For my podcast, it starts with the basics: choosing a show name, description, and subtitle, getting a logo designed, recording an intro and outro. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Free Mama Radio. You can find all the links and information mentioned in this episode at freemamaradio.com. And it moves on to some more of the details, like figuring out music for that intro and outro, designing cover art, and determining the episode flow that will follow. I knew that in order to launch in May, I'd have to record my first few episodes by the middle of April so that we'd be able to submit them to Apple by the end of the month, because a lot of editing steps need to happen after an episode is recorded and before it's ready for prime time. I am not a person who likes to reinvent wheels. If someone else has already come up with a solid process that's proven to work, I'm on board with following that roadmap to success. In my case, I hired a podcast producer to give me a list of tasks and help me assign them to team members. That way, I didn't have to figure out on my own what goes into finding and booking guests, what software to use, what hardware to buy, how to get us listed on Apple Podcasts and other sites, and on and on. If you're doing things on your own, you can still tap into the resources other people have created, whether you're using free downloads, a do-it-yourself course, or working with a coach to help you meet specific goals. You'll decide on the strategy based on the time and money you have to invest. The point is that having a goal isn't enough. Writing down a goal isn't enough. You have to figure out what goes into that goal every step of the process. You have to make time to do each part, like actually schedule the time on your calendar to get it done. And then you have to do it. I follow this process every single time I set a goal because there's no magic. And before you tell me, hey, Lauren, this must really be easy for you because you have a team and you hired a producer, let me give you a little tough love. A few years ago, I didn't have a team. When I built my very first course, I had me, myself, and I. So I had to do every little step by myself. I bought a course that would tell me step by step what to do, and I got everything scheduled. And then I showed up and I did the work every day. If you want to hit your goals, you're going to have to do the work. And if you want some help with hitting those goals, then I have a fantastic free resource for you to grab. You'll find a link to my Daily 5 worksheet, the tool I've been using to hit all of my goals for the past 5 years, down below this video. Also, if you want to join a community of mamas just like you, I have a Facebook group where thousands of mamas come together for support and action-taking tips and motivation. If you like this video, please let me know by liking it below, subscribe, and share it with your fellow mamas. And comment below with hashtag I am a free mama if you're committed to hitting your goals. Okay, okay, can hear Frozen 2 in the other room. It's hard not to sing along. I'll show you how to do that. And here she goes. I'm not coming out. Where's Daddy? Can you go see Daddy? Now, it's important. It's not important. It's important. There are a lot of things that go into meeting any big goal. For my podcast, it starts with the basics, like choosing a show note. Choosing a show note. Choosing a show note. Name, not known. We are not knowns. There are a lot of big things. Oh my gosh, Lauren. Using GarageBand, reading my notes that my podcast manager laid out for me. Feeling tired.